We've got Merritt Centennials Head Coach and GM Luke Pierce with us. Luke, a pretty hectic 48 hours for you, spring camp wrapping up for this season. What are your thoughts?
We're happy that we got through it again, and it is a very busy time, and the kids were great, no issues, on or off the ice, which is always a positive. And then the performance on the ice was very good. It's always interesting. You don't know everybody that's coming in, and I was pleasantly surprised with some people, and just happy with others.
Was it what you expected in terms of the compete level from the players?
I think there was a real big mix. We had some, different levels here. When you have such a wide age range and where guys played last year with such different backgrounds, you get a very, big separation. But as the camp went on, I thought it all kind of started to work itself out. And, we replayed the games from Friday night again here today, and both the teams that lost Friday won today. So I think it all started to get better, and we were extremely happy with the end result.
When I talked to you last week prior to the camp, you were expecting that some of the players that were coming in here were very good, chances to compete for a spot on your team this upcoming season. Is that the same now that the camp is done?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're going to be in a really tough recruiting battle right now with some other teams in our league for some of these kids. These names are going to pop up in other camps that are happening in the next few weeks. Whether that be in places like Vernon and Salmon Arm and things like that. And now it's up to us to put our best foot forward and try to sell our program a bit, and hopefully the kids like what they saw here and had in their conversations with us what we had to say, and we're hoping that we can land a couple of them for sure.
Any invites to main camp go out with the exit interviews today?
Not really. We just kind of told everybody that we would be making final decisions on our main camp with some time. We're going to run a very small main camp, so we don't want to over commit to kids to come to that and then have to change their plans. And we told a few that it would be a very, very good possibility that they're coming back, and once we get our Abbotsford camp wrapped up with and some other recruiting things done and find out exactly where our roster sits, hopefully over the next month or so, we'll start making some of those calls.
Now, did anything that happened here this weekend affect anything that's going to happen in June in Abbotsford? Are you looking for a second look at some of these guys maybe? Yeah,
there'll be a few that, not about, that anyone earned it over anyone else, and it's not about earning it to come back to another camp. Just there's some guys who are from the area that we told them that they'd be more than welcome to come back out and skate, and, I think that would be a bit larger of a camp. Maybe I think the talent pool will be a lot more even in Abbotsford, and might give a guy a chance to give us an additional look if they didn't like the way they played here or whatever it may be. But it's more a convenience thing for guys that are from the area.
Now, do you notice that you mentioned about the competition when it comes to recruiting with other teams in our league? Do you find that some of these players, you obviously know the background, you got there where they played last year and you've done research on them and your scouts have, what have you, but do you find yourself in competition probably with the Western Hockey League with some of these guys too?
Yeah, there's a couple of guys that were here that are definite Western Hockey League prospects and who are very, highly sought after. There's some that have already, gone on and signed contracts or whatever it may be, and you got to make tough decisions on those guys. They're definitely good enough to play in our league, and what do? Take a risk on having them here for a year or not? And other guys who haven't yet chosen what path they want to take, you're not about persuading them to play for the Merritt Centennials, but just persuading them that to give the BCHL a real long look and consideration, and that, in my opinion, is probably a wiser choice for a kid that's looking to go to school.
Now, you kind of already answered the question in the fact that you didn't extend any invites to main camp, but we've seen other teams out of spring camps already verbally committing to players. You can't sign anybody yet, obviously, because of the Hockey Canada situation, but obviously that's not your strategy at this point. Do you ever see where that might happen for you, or are you close to saying to some kids, we want you to be here, or do you like to do it with time?
This whole thing has really started to become a pet peeve of mine. And I see there was a recent release on a team's website that they have signed a player, and that is physically impossible. We don't have a card. We can't sign anybody. I don't know if they're writing up their own personal contracts or what, but to me, this is April, and September is a long ways away, and I can't tell anybody what's going to happen in September. There's some kids that I told that I think that you can definitely play in our league. Maybe we want it to be with Merritt, but I don't know that. We have a lot of players that are, we have to make some decisions on our roster. We have to make some decisions with how they perform come exhibition, and I am not about to commit to anybody right now. We may do so, a month or two down the road when we see how much, what else is out there from our recruiting standpoint. And if we do decide to commit to a kid or two, then they'll be here and they'll be playing, similar to what Max Vallis and Jacob Reichert went through last year. But I'm probably more resilient now this year to this whole process of the way we're going to do things than I was last year. I think last year, being a first-year recruiter and coach, it was like, this is the way things are done. I better get out there and start signing. And this year, I feel strong in my beliefs on how you go about this, and I don't feel the need to go out there and swoop up everything that skates.
Well, and I mean, I ask you that in knowing that was your philosophy, and it didn't really seem to change after last season, even when you were looking at recruiting a Jacob Reichert situation where, again, you didn't sign him until a little bit later on in the recruiting process. I guess the other thing that fans need to realize, too, is that the fact that your season only ended a month ago, this is just the beginning of this whole process, right?
Yeah, and that's, to me, with the amount of players that I'm hearing of that are committed to places, it's... I don't know. I guess maybe people are seeing things that I'm not, and maybe I'll be the fool come September. But I think there's a lot of really good hockey players out there to be seen, and you can't, see everybody in 2 months, or and then some of these guys, it's not like it's the first time we've seen them. We've been watching them throughout their year during our season. Our scouting staff, or myself or Chad, has been out to watch some of these players, and we have some familiarity with them. But there's a long time to go, and 4 months, when you're 16 or 17 years old, 4 months is a long period of time, and a lot can change and develop, and guys get stronger, injuries, whatever it may be, and we just don't like to throw too many eggs in a basket here.
One thing that I noticed when you look at the rosters of this camp is that you had a lot less of 19-year-old players than you did in camp last year. They were the 91-born players last year. Obviously, those are the 20-year-olds coming up this season, but a lot less 92s in this camp. Was that by design, or was that simply by registration?
No, it was by the kids that we'd contacted about coming. Any 92s that were in the camp were guys who contacted us and asked to come out, and that was fine. I mean, we saw last year there was I think 4 91s make our team as first year players, so it's not something that's impossible to do. I just think that the higher end age scale for our team is pretty full right now, and we're going to continue to fill it with the few spots that we do have available that'll be open are probably going to be filled with some younger bodies, probably 18 or younger.
Now, one word that was going around the arena this weekend and the people that I talked to was the fact that you lost your top 2 centers, basically, in Jeff Jones and Blaine Bokenfour. Do you see filling that with a player that comes out of a camp like this, or a recruitment or something like that? Or do you think that, again, I know September's a long ways off, but obviously it's something that plays on your mind. You look at your returning defensemen and your returning goaltenders, but up front you've got a couple of pretty big holes to fill.
Well, I think the Jeff Jones hole is a very big one. That'll be... something that we'll probably look to fill through recruitment or via trade, and that's our main focus, I'd say, right now, is trying to find a way to replace Jeff. And we're also, I think you have to give Chad Brewers a really legitimate chance at filling that role and taking that on. So we're confident, in our center position that we're not necessarily going to go out there and only recruit centermen. We've got Chad, who I think can step in and play a significant minutes there. Obviously, Stephen Wall, as a 20-year-old, we're going to have to wait and see what happens with him, but if he's back, very capable. And then we got a guy like Brent Fletcher, who will probably move back to the middle, where I think he's more effective. And there's 3 or 4 right there.
All right, Luke, obviously the off-season isn't going to get much quieter for you, although it might than the last 4 weeks have been. But what's next on your agenda from here on forward?
I'm going to get married. No, in all seriousness, I actually do have my wedding in May 21st. So I'm going to take a little bit of time. Obviously, you can't get away from hockey entirely, but I am going to pass on a little bit of some work to our scouting staff and give myself a little bit of a breather from it and refresh a bit and spend some time with my family and get married and move on from there.
Does that change your off-season plan a little bit? Like last year, I know that you were mentioning that you were going to try to take some time off, and then this is just on the personal side of things. You want to take some time off more in the summertime. Do you find that that's too close to main camp to take time off?
Yeah, I think what I found last year was having it be my first off-season. I worked really hard through this time and into April and all through May and June, and then took a 3-week break in July, which was great. I would probably do the same thing again, but once August 1st hits, you're busy nonstop, and I was fairly burnt out by the time our season started last year, and it weighed on me as we got going. And so this year, I'd like to take a bigger chunk of time off in April and enjoy some other things in life. And obviously in May, I'll be busy with some other stuff as well, and then get right back into the swing of things in June.
Do you find that will be a good transition for you to have that camp end of June when you're really looking at the situation where you go into obviously the BCHL AGM is around that time, and then you go into the July process when you're looking at you're only 6-7 weeks away from main camp?
Yeah, I think the AGM kind of really signifies the time to get busy again, and a lot of conversation happens there between teams and coaches and GMs, and get busy with stuff there. So from now till then, there's always stuff to do, but it's not going to be quite as hectic. And after the AGM and then into the spring camp, it'll be a good transition of processes, and then June on.